People will rarely, if ever, talk about Idaho. I mean, it's a great place if you're into farming potatoes, but besides that, you're probably not going to want to move there. And while the state is one of the top 10 safest states in the world, could it be that Idaho is so bad that even criminals don't want to live there? We think so. So here's our top 10 reasons why you shouldn't move to Idaho. Dreadfully boring. Weiser, Rexburg, and Fruitland are the 3 safest Idaho cities, with Weiser boasting 0 cases of violence or property crime last year, and Rexburg and Fruitland close with 0.2%. Not only is crime not happening in those spots, but nothing else is either. Those who are all the wiser know better than to move to Weiser. A recent study has also deemed it the worst and most boring place to live in Idaho. With a population of about 3,500, you would think that somebody could come up with something to do, but that's just not happening, and neither is anything else. Rexburg is home to BYU, which makes up a large part of the town, and in addition to being incredibly boring, there's an old school problem that plagues the population. The residents complain about the students, and the students are annoyed by the residents. And Fruitland is serving up lemons too, or not. Ironically, fresh produce is in short supply in Fruitland. Now, what's wrong with that picture? And that's not the only thing that's lacking here. Everything is lacking. You know, Idaho's a boring place to live when you Google things to do in a town and absolutely nothing comes up. If you're moving to Idaho, count on plenty of free time. Wrong on women's rights. Although Idaho's state seal is the one and only one in the United States that was designed by a woman, the state falls way short when it comes to women's rights, shamefully earning its spot as the second worst state for recognizing equal rights of women. The Gym state might as well be called the Gym state. One of the few women who actually did end up breaking the Idaho mold and actually holds a seat of political power is Mayor Rebecca Casper of Idaho Falls. Tired of being stepped on, she stepped up to the plate for women's rights, and her motto is step up and step out. Especially if you're a woman, you might want to think twice before moving to this chauvinistic state, unless you're like Rebecca and are prepared to fight for your rights, in which case, more power to you. Rotten potatoes. Bubba Gump shrimp ain't got nothing on Idaho potatoes. You can have them hashed, mashed, fried, boiled, broiled, baked, and even souffled, but no matter how you slice them or dice them, potatoes are just bad for the environment. Introduced to Idaho in 1836 by a missionary by the name of Henry Spalding, and no, there's no relation to the basketball, the fertile volcanic soil coupled with the climate and irrigation in the state had made the place perfect for growing potatoes. And while it is true that potatoes do contribute a lot to economics and taste yummy as well, growing them is done at the expense of the environment. From the use of tainted fertilizers and pesticides during the growing season to the poisonous pollution of greenhouse gases which are emitted during the production process, potatoes are anything but green. Oh, and those that are green contain chemicals that are too toxic for the environment and bad for the human body. Due to the spuds, the idea of moving to Idaho is a dud. Poor Idaho. Idaho is ranked as the 11th poorest state in the nation based on its citizens' average income. It does have a high poverty rate, and although houses are inexpensive to buy there, buying one just isn't easy when you don't make enough money. The state minimum wage sticks to $7.72, except for those who are 20 and under, who are only guaranteed $4.25 an hour. Jobs are even scarce for those that are not in the medical, education, or agricultural industry. If you're moving to Idaho, poor you. Housing boom. The good news about Idaho is that there is actually a housing boom. The bad news is there's a housing boom. Homes and land are incredibly affordable, so many people are rushing to grab their fair share of the plunder. Even the larger cities like Boise aren't set up to handle the growth. Two-lane country roads are now ever increasingly becoming jammed with traffic, and even if you are able to access an interstate highway, you're going to have trouble getting off of it because there's only a handful of exits, which even allow one to make an easy migration off of the median. One day, maybe the infrastructure of Idaho will catch up to all of the boom that the state's been experiencing, but for now, it seems to all be stuck in second gear. If you're looking for a house in the Gem State, then you're lucky because you're likely going to get a great deal on one. Too bad it's going to be in a state that has serious growing pains. Time matters. Idahoans have a hard time with time. It's not entirely their fault though, as the state is one of 13 in the US that are split into time zones. Most of Idaho runs on mountain time, but the area above the Salmon River is designated to function under Pacific time, so theoretically, you can leave work at 5 and get home before 5. Talk about confusing. The cold shoulder. Those who move to Idaho are likely to get the cold shoulder. The state of freezing winters ours is notorious for being frigid in the welcoming department too. That is, if you're relocating to there. Idahoans are said to be friendly to a fault, but apparently the hospitality only extends to tourists, not to those who choose to move there. With one of the lowest population density rates in the nation, isolation is important to Idahoans. Even as the number of residents continue to grow in the state, socialization just isn't. If you're hoping to maybe have a couple of good friends when you move to Idaho, then you might want to reconsider bringing your own, because the state is no hotspot to warm welcomes. Cultural clusters. Idaho has a history of having a primarily European-influenced culture. Why wouldn't it be, since the state population's a whopping 93% white? Times are a-changing though, and the state's becoming more diverse, especially since more minorities are being drawn by agricultural jobs like planting and picking potatoes. The problem is though that the minorities that are moving in are staying in their own little groups, and whether that is by choice or force or something else, if you are at all a minority, then you might have trouble fitting in. The fact is that while other states are working on cultural diversion, Idaho appears to be more into cultural division. It's a place where heritage matters, perhaps a little too much. Lock and load. Not everybody is fond of guns, but those people don't typically live in Idaho. The Second Amendment is basically gospel in the gun-toting state, with over 49,000 residents, 55% of which own a firearm. While many of the citizens are avid hunters, guns are also used for protection in the state, which may explain its low crime rate. Everyone in the state over the age of 18 is allowed to openly carry a firearm, even if they don't know how to use it. If you're planning to move to Idaho, you may want to make sure that the fact that most Idahoans are packing too doesn't leave you gun shy. Lastly, the dumbest state. A study conducted recently had dubbed Idaho as the dumbest state in America. With all 50 states plus Washington, D.C., including in the study, the state ranked number 51 in the smartest states in America, thus earning it the title of the number one not smartest, to put it nicely. Factors that were taken into account were high school graduation rates, college degrees, advanced and professional degrees, and even test scores in the schools. Could it be that when it comes to academics, the potato capital of the U.S. is a few French fries short of a Happy Meal?